It's Thank you, P. Donaf. I just was gonna point you out about the recording. Good morning, all, and welcome to our morning meeting this morning. We do have a number of guests visiting with us this morning. Very excited about that. But first, I would like to take the opportunity to welcome our guest speaker for this morning, Inspector Mikkel Pinder. Thank you very much. She was up early from 6:45 waiting online for us this morning. Thank you for joining us. I would also like to say a special good morning to President Kyle Thompson from the Rotaract Club of Nassau Sunset. Thank you for joining us. We do have PP Cami from the Rotary Club of Providenciales and Miko Smith, Rotarian Miko Smith, visiting from Old Fort Club. Thank you all for joining us this morning. And we do have some guests. I would like to open the floor for all Rotarians to introduce your guests at this time.
I'd like to acknowledge soon to be Rotarian, Kendrick Dames, who's shortly no longer going to be a guest.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We also have Rotaract Kristen. Thank you for joining us this morning. Anyone else to introduce your guests? Okay, if not, we do have Nellie Strand. I'm not sure if you're a Rotarian, Rotaractor, or a guest, but thank you also for joining us this morning. Back to you, President Therese.
Thank you, Akima. I'd like to invite Director Tanisha to announce our raffle for this morning. Tanisha.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much, President Therese. Happy Thursday, everyone. This morning we have a 2-for-1 special for raffle prize. We're going to be raffling off a $50 gift card for Amazon and a book of Starbucks gift certificate valued at $25. So that's a great deal. 2-for-1. So tickets are going to be 1 for 5, 3 for 10, and you can purchase those in the chat. To our guests, you can also purchase the tickets and either the Rotarian, or you can message me. I can tell you how you can pay for your ticket. So you can participate as well in supporting our raffle. So again, it's a $50 Amazon gift card and a $25 Starbucks booklet. So purchase your tickets in the chat. Please support the raffle. Back to you, President Therese. Thank you. Thank
you, Tanisha. I just want to highlight, I don't know if we missed Kristen Cooper. She's from the Rotaract of Sunset. Just want to acknowledge her presence in the meeting and welcome to our meeting this morning. Now I will invite our Director Patrick to give us our jokes and finds for this morning.
Good morning, all. Okay, for fines, we want to fine everybody who don't have their pin on $3. And, you know, we don't want the Rotaracts to feel left out. So, you know, if you don't have your pins on, we want to fine you $3 also. Tanisha will tell you how you all can pay that. All right.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat if you don't have your $3 pen.
Yes, and you remember we using the Rotary four-way test. All right. And speaking of that, there was this lady one week. She collected a paycheck, and a paycheck was over by $200. So she didn't say anything. She just went and she cashed a check. So the next week she collected a check. It's short by $200. So she goes to the manager of account and she's like, my check is short $200 this week. He said, well, it was over $200 last week. You didn't say anything last week. She said, no, I didn't say anything. I realized you all made a mistake. But, you know, I gave you all a ply. But I don't expect you all to make a mistake 2 weeks in a row. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'd like to invite PP Diana Lynn to give us our birthdays and anniversary this morning. I'm not sure if Diana Lynn is online. Sorry, please can you please mute your mics if you aren't speaking for the duration of the meeting. All right, we will come back to our birthday announcements and birthday and anniversaries this morning. I don't think PP Dan Lynn is online. As we just want to get any announcements, as I'll kick off announcements for this morning. We are expecting our district governor, DG Lewis, will be coming to will be hosting him with the Rotary Club of the Bahamas from the period of February 22nd to March 3rd. I think it's March 2nd or 3rd. We will be hosting him to various events, as we also be celebrating the anniversary of Rotary on February 23rd. There'll be a number of community events and activities planned during this time. Please, we all Rotarians, please be advised and to know that your participation is needed. I'd also like to comment that the next week meeting will be a closed meeting, as promised a few weeks ago, that we will have our business meeting next week on February 10th. Please, all members, be in attendance to know about the items in your club and to be aware of all of the business of our Rotary Club of Nassau Sunrise. Are there any other announcements? I'd like to open up to the floor for any persons who want to make any comments or announcements of the club.
Okay, good morning, fellow Rotarians. Good morning again. The Government High School Interact Club is inviting our support and participation for a walkabout, which will take place this Friday between 10 and 12 noon. So they have been having challenges getting the children back out to school. And so the principal came up with this innovative idea to have the teacher, the faculty, the members of the various clubs, as well as some parents who have been sending their kids to school, to do door-to-door and to speak with parents about getting their children back in person. They started back last Monday, and the turnout, the attendance has been significantly low. It's cause for concern. So they only need 2 Rotarians if you're able to commit between 10 and 12. I know it's short notice, but if you're able to participate, please send me a message or call Director Kemi. I was looking to see if I saw him on the line.
Yes, I'm here, Donna. I was about to
sorry.
make a similar announcement. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Thank you
please
for that.
get in touch with me or Kemi if you're able to give. If you can't walk for the entire 2 hours and you can do an hour, please let me know and we can schedule. So 2 persons, please, to support GHS and the Government High School in getting our kids out back to school. Thank you, President. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, B. Donna. Are there any other announcements? If there aren't any, I would like to move along and invite Rotarian Durand, who is coming on right now, this very moment, to give us the Rotary Minute.
President Simmons,
yes.
I had just a quick reminder for you that the Hilton Hotel is closing, and we have a number of bits and pieces of our Rotary paraphernalia here. We really have to get those out of that hotel. We have less than 2 weeks, so we need a new home for those.
Yes, so the idea was I'm speaking with one of the persons from our existing event from Margaritaville to get a small part of their room to get put our items in. So I'm working with them right now as we speak. So That's in the works. Thank you, PP Sophia. Are there any other announcements, comments? If none, I would ask Duran to give us our Rotary minutes for this morning.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians, and yes, today's Rotary Minute is promoting peace. Today, over 70 million people are displaced as a result of conflict, violence, persecution, and human rights violations. Half of them are children. We refuse to accept conflict as a way of life. Rotary projects provide training that fosters understanding and provides communities with the skills to solve conflict. As a humanitarian organization, peace is a cornerstone of our mission. We believe when people work to create peace in their communities, that change can have a global effect. By carrying out service projects and supporting peace fellowships and scholarships, our members take action to address the underlying causes of conflict, including poverty, discrimination, ethnic tension, lack of access to education, and unequal distribution of resources. Our commitment to peace building today answers new challenges: how we can make the greatest possible impact and how we can achieve our vision of lasting change. We are approaching the concept of peace with greater cohesion and inclusivity, broadening the scope of what we mean by peace building and finding ways for more people to get involved. Rotary creates environments where peace can happen. Here ends the Rotary Minute for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Duran. It's very timely as we are in our Peace and Conflict Month. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more about conflict resolution throughout the course of this month. This portion of the program is typically sectioned out for membership high spotlight. Unfortunately, we don't have any this morning, but I would just like to just highlight that please our members, please put yourself forward to give us our spotlight. It's important that we, considering that we haven't been in person for quite some time, and that we have a number of new Rotarians. So we just want to make sure everyone is aware of each other and the application. So please put yourself forth and give the information to our director, Patrick, in reference to our membership spotlight. It is mostly needed, and please, we would like to know more about you and your accomplishments in your personal and professional career. At this point in time, I would like to invite Rotarian Nicolette to introduce our speaker for this morning. Rotarian Nicolette.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Our speaker this morning is Inspector Michael Pinder. I hope I pronounced that right. Inspector Michael Pinder has 16 years of service on the Royal Bahamas Police Force, where she has worked in various vital areas of this organization, namely the Central Detective Unit Homicide Section, Victim Support Unit, Community Relations Section, and the National Crime Prevention Office, where she is presently posted and serves as the host of the RBPF Cop Talk. Because of a passion for helping those in need, in 1999, Inspector Pinder obtained a Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology from the historic St. Augustine University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and has been a proud member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for the past 23 years. More importantly, she is also a faithful member of the historic Bethel Baptist Church and the mother of one son. Due to the sensitivity and diversity of the specified areas, Inspector Pinder utilizes her acquired skills on a daily basis as it pertains to victims of serious crimes such as homicide, domestic violence, child abuse, and juvenile delinquency. A distinctive woman of action and diversity, Inspector Pinder is a sociologist by degree, a banker by experience, and a police officer by profession. Please join me in welcoming Inspector Pinder. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me here this morning. It is early, but I feel as if this topic is timely in light of the uptick of incidents that has transpired as a result of conflict, the lack of conflict resolution here in our country. We are in February, and the amount of domestic violence matters that has been recorded so far is alarming, and it is something that we have to look at collectively as Bahamians. So I thank you so much for inviting me here this morning. I just want to send a shout out to my aunt, and Nellie Strawn is my guest. She's one of my biggest cheerleaders. So, and it is early. So, Nellie, I appreciate you so much for your support. But we're going to get right into it because I know that we have long days ahead of us, a long day ahead of us. And so am I able to share?
Yes, you can. You can go ahead.
Okay. And okay, so we're going to talk about the importance of conflict resolution here in the Bahamas. And before I begin any presentation, I don't know about you, but God is everything to me that He's promised me to be, and so much more. And without Him, I am absolutely nothing. And so I thank Him for my presence here this morning, to be here in the land of the living, because so many people have not been given a chance to do so. If you're anything like me, I'm a 70s baby. And so everything that is going on here in our country right now, even though I'm a police officer who has been exposed to a lot, who has seen a lot, it is still alarming to me because my upbringing is totally different, or the Bahamas that I knew growing up is not what we're living in now. Back then, if you're a 70s baby like me, if we take a walk down memory lane, we watch Sesame Street, the newspaper on a Tuesday or Thursday, whenever it is that came out, it had one or two persons in it, whenever it, to say that they would have passed away, whenever it is that someone was tragically killed. That was, like a novelty to us because it was not a norm. Now today, we've become insensitive as a people. We look forward to the catalog that is published every Thursday in our newspapers because we're looking to see who has been killed, who has died as a result of a lack of conflict resolution. That's what we see. So today we're influenced by WhatsApp, these social media websites, platforms, I should say, Facebook. We have Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I can't keep up with all of these platforms. Teenage pregnancy. The PACE has a lot of teenage mothers that are presently enrolled as we speak. Gang violence. There's an uptick in that. These are all contributors to conflict here in the Bahamas. And so we have to ask the question, exactly what is going on? Why is it that we have persons who are not walking away from conflict? And so when we look at conflict and we think about conflict resolution, we have to ask the question, exactly what is conflict? And it is simple. Conflict may be defined as a disagreement or struggle between people with opposing needs, ideas, beliefs, values, or goals. The problem is how we as individuals deal with the conflict. And so as a police officer, we focus on three major strategies for conflict. The first one is that we have, with everything that we deal with as police officers and as individuals, we have to be assertive. After being assertive and trying to find out exactly what is going on, we try to mediate as best as we can. And then we try to empathize, because at the end of the day, we are all Bahamians. We have to find a solution to this problem. We have one country. This is the only home that I do have. And so I have nowhere else to go. So we have to find a solution to this problem of conflict resolution. And so the importance of conflict resolution for police officers, it helps to preserve and maintain the peace. And for us, when we have conflict resolution in our communities, it means that we are out of harm's way. We can go home to our families. We have families who are civilians as well. We can have a peaceful country. It helps us to forge healthy relationships with the public civic groups such as the Rotary. More importantly, conflict resolution helps to minimize crime. What are the consequences of conflict resolution here in the Bahamas? When we look at it from an analytical perspective, when we assess conflict and the consequences of it in the Bahamas, the police is responsible for mediating, as I mentioned earlier, listening to the individuals, trying to figure out why it is that these individuals are at arms with each other, or as they say in the streets, of why they're warring with each other, arresting. If a crime comes out of the conflict, then of course we have to arrest the persons that are involved, charging those individuals, creating deterrence as best as we could. So we try to partnership with our community builders in creating programs for young children, partnershiping with them, and with hopes that we would see some change, because most of the conflict, aside from domestic violence, it occurs among our young people. When school, before COVID, we had a lot of killings in the school, which was alarming. Children could not go to school without being in fear for their lives. So we had children who were forced to choose a side as to what gang it is that they were going to be a part of in order to survive in school. Could you imagine? In our little country, forming partnerships, like I said, with civic groups, forming partnerships within the community. However, can the police change the mindset of individuals? No, we can't. With the exception of an individual being arrested, charged, and sent to prison, are there any deterrents in place to minimize conflict in the Bahamas? If we want to be real, there's nothing. So suggestions as to what it is that we can do to try and minimize it from a personal perspective: choose your battles. And remember, it takes two to argue or fight. So the simple thing is to just I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time, just walk away, cool down, walk away, and try to address it later on. It's easier said than done. From a legal perspective, we need stricter penalties. I mean, I'm a police officer, but I have to agree, especially working in homicide, and where I dealt with killers. It was alarming to me that I had to charge one person for more than one incident. In that this person, I would charge this person here in January, and by June, they're given bail, and by December, they've committed another offense. That is alarming within itself. We have to revisit the Bail Act. And maybe I heard someone was talking on a radio show the other day, maybe we need to think about capital punishment, but some deterrents need to be put in place, because there are absolutely no consequences for these individuals. An individual has already made up in their mind that if they commit an offense, if there is a lack of conflict resolution and they don't want to even think about how it is that the problem can be resolved, and the only thing that is on their mind is to hurt another individual, what are the consequences that are in place? Go to jail, eat free meals? They're going to do it. So that these are the things that we need to look out for or keep in mind when it is that we are thinking about conflict resolution and what it is that we can do in our little country. And I didn't want to keep you long because I know that all of us have to go and do some other things. And so we're down almost to the end of the presentation. You can ask any questions after this, but I just wanted to share this story of a young lady. This is a matter that I dealt with in 2018, statistics of conflict in the Bahamas. This is one of them. You can listen in.
Several women accused of taking the life of a young mother charged in court today, Jimenita Swain reports. A high-security presence at the South Street Magistrates Court Wednesday as 6 females accused of murder were arraigned. Police cars blocked the entrance and exit of the court, creating a very controlled environment for those entering or exiting. Shackled, the 6, including 2 juveniles whose faces are concealed, emerged from the Nassau Street Police Station. The suspects, 20-year-old Thea Williams of Wolf Road in the blue and black top, 20-year-old Zaria Burrows of East Street South in the gray hoodie, 19-year-old Devanya Ladders of Watland Street in the white top, 20-year-old Ebony Edwards, also of Watland Street in the gray t-shirt, and 2 juveniles ages 16 and 17 years were also in the number. The group appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. It's alleged that the females intentionally caused the death of 19-year-old Brianne Mackey. The victim was stabbed multiple times about the body at Key West Street. Attorney Gina Morley, who represents Burrows, informed the court that a client is on seizure medication, which she presented to the court, and also informed the magistrate that the 20-year-old was pregnant. An angry mob gathered in the parking lot of the court and hurled insults at the accused after they exited. They were not required to enter a plea to the charge. Now, all of the defendants are expected back in court on March 14th, where they will be served with voluntary bill of indictment papers. That means the matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court for trial. Until then, the ladies will be remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Jimenita Swain, ZNS Network News.
The reason why Brianna Mackey was 19 years old, the day before she was murdered in 2018, she had just celebrated her birthday. And the 6 girls that I charged, and they were all convicted of murder, they were all friends. And the reason why it is that this particular matter, I will never forget, is because of the fact that these were females, they were friends, and this all, as the Brianna lost her life as a result of an $80 cell phone. They were all together in a nightclub. Brianna wanted to use, the minor could not be shown here on this. She's the one here on the left-hand side at the bottom. And she could not, she wanted to use her cell phone to take a photo. The cell phone dropped in the nightclub and it caused the screen to shatter. Brianna promised to pay for the repairs, which she didn't. And so on social media, on Facebook, there was a back and forth as to who did what, and whenever it is that they would have seen Brianna, it was going to be a movie. Unfortunately, Brianna friends choose to kill her. The female that is that you see me escorting on the top left, she is the one who did the stabbing, and each one of them played a role in Brianna's demise because of a lack of conflict resolution. Friends, and the reason why it is that it stood out to me is because when I asked each of them, what did they do when they saw Brianna on the ground, bleeding to death and crying out for help? I asked each one of them what it is that they did. They all said that they left her there, bleeding and asking for help, went home, changed their clothes, and went out in Gambier to have drinks and conch salad. The only time that they started to panic is because she was still alive when they left her there. And the only time that they panicked or showed any type of remorse was when it is that they discovered that she was dead. This was as a result of conflict resolution, females. So we have to ask the question, who is going to lead us? This is an article clipping that I've had from 2011, when the murder rate is 3 times higher than the US. Has anything changed? It has gotten worse. Who is going to lead us when we see young men who are slain as a result of ambushed? One left behind, a 2-year-old who was actually shot in the head during this incident. And this was as a result of a lack of conflict resolution. And that's why I said we have to learn we have to walk away. The solution to all of this is choosing our battles, being our brother's keepers, partnershiping with the police for us to create programs so that we can find a way as to how it is that we can embrace our young men and women. It's not just the young men anymore. We have women, as you can see, who are involved in these incidents that we see happening in our country. Even as it pertains to domestic violence, we have to do something about this, because at the end of the day, if we don't, it is going to spiral out of control. And it takes all of us, not just the police. We have to, it is a collective effort as Bahamians. The choice is yours, you have to decide. And as I end all of my presentations, to thine own self be true, unleash the greatness within. As a wise songwriter wrote, if I can help somebody as I travel along in this life, then my living shall not be in vain. I hope that the information, even though it's short, the information that I would have shared, it shared a little light as to what it is that we're dealing with, on how it is that we can honestly deal with conflict resolution. Are there any questions? And I thank you so much.
Hello and good morning, everyone. This is Dino Moss. I just wanted to ask if you could shed some light on this. A long time ago, I read an article in an Economist magazine that was examining cultures where violent crimes were very high. And one of the things that they noticed in those societies was that justice, or the appearance of justice, wheels of justice moved very slowly. And so individuals took matters in their own hands. And even some of these individuals were, in fact, law enforcement individuals that, in the case you said, having to arrest a person multiple times for the same crime, in these societies, they found that even that people wanted to exact justice because the system wasn't moving fast enough. First question, what can we do about that? And then the second question I have is, when you talk about not allowing persons to be on bail, and you couple that with the number of times we hear persons who are being brought before the court claiming that they were brutally, they were forced into a confession by the police. How do we counteract these two things as we move to swifter justice and swifter resolutions?
Well, you answered the first one, swift justice. I think, and the police, in terms of us charging, is totally different from the judicial system, who is responsible. We present the evidence to them, and they're responsible for coming up with a date as to when it is that these particular matters are to be tried. I think the problem is that we have a backlog. And so if after a certain time, that matter is not tried in court, or it does not come up, then the person is allowed to get bail. And so that these are the things that need to be revisit swift justice within itself. Now, when we look at persons going before the court and saying that they were forced into a confession, if I had not known better, I would have believed it. And it's only so much that I can honestly say, but working in a sensitive area such as homicide, we have to have, the bottom line is that with serious matters such as homicide, We, as the police officers, can only, or the investigators, the only thing that we can do is advise the AG office based on the evidence that we would have gathered during this particular incident. We can advise, we can recommend that this person is charged. The AG of the personnel at the AG office, they have to look through that particular file, regardless of what it is that we're saying as investigators, and they have to be satisfied enough to give us a charge. And so when we hear individuals saying that they've been beaten into confession and all of these other things, of course, nobody's going to admit that they would have committed an offense. And that's not to say that we don't have some persons who are innocent. That's not to say that that's not the case, but in terms of homicide, especially, there's no way in the world that an individual is forced into a confession, because you have to have the evidence that, like I said, that is handed over to the personnel at the AG office, and they're the ones who give us the permission to charge and give us the charge letter based on the evidence that is presented. If the evidence is not sufficient, we don't get, I don't care how it is that we feel about that individual, and we are adamant that this individual may have committed the offense. If they are not satisfied, we don't get a charge. And so, like I said, it's only so much that I can honestly say with regards to that.
Morning, fellow Albright. I also graduated from St. Paul. Wanted to find out from you, what are your internal measures for officers, similar to what Rotarian mentioned? What are your internal measures for dealing with your own officers who would have committed offenses and domestic violence? Because that seems to be on the rise among your own. And obviously, we hear bits and pieces of it in the public sphere, but I have family members who are members of law enforcement. The other day, we saw the defense force officer, kicking the lady who's already down. How do you discipline your own? Can you shed some light on that? And
well, we
Delta Sigma Theta, just thought I'd throw that in there too.
Well, thank you, fellow Falcon. We have what we call the Complaints and Corruption Unit, in that the complaints, once the complaint is made against the police, we have, I know some persons are, they raise an eyebrow in terms of police investigating police, but the officers who are there that I know of, Chief Superintendent Fullfoot, he's not biased at all. He goes with the facts that is presented, and once the evidence is there, and we've had a lot of officers who are now and who have been charged with various offenses and incidents that they would have been involved in, and we see that they are at fault. Of course, we deal with them internally and sometimes publicly based on the nature of these incidents. And so we have what we call the Complaints and Corruption Unit as it pertains to domestic violence. We are putting together within this office, the National Crime Prevention Office. We're trying to put together as we speak an area, a unit that deals specifically with domestic violence incidents, and that is police along with the public, because we see that there is an escalation in that. It has been. However, we have the family liaison section at the Central Detective Unit. Inspector Kendra Wallace, she would usually deal with those incidents and refer them to the various agencies, because we are not counselors, even though we may have degrees in psychology, sociology, counseling. We still have to stay within the confines of what our job description is. And so in doing so, we would normally refer our officers along with members of the public who would make complaints to various agencies to seek the help that they need. And if that, if these incidents continue, or you have the same person committing the same offense, then we know that in terms of police officers, we know that there's something definitely wrong psychologically. And so we have the force chaplain along with Dr. Barrett to dig deeper into what exactly is going on with these individuals. And if it means that these individuals are removed from the organization or it's placed on leave to get the help that they need, then we do so.
Thank you, Inspector Pinto. I'd like to invite PG Mario. He has a comment or question.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Thank you, Mr. President. My question is, what are you seeing similar trends in the Family Islands, and what is the police force doing to address those? And also, Mr. President, I would suggest that we find the inspector for not referencing her Eleuthera roots in her bio.
I second that.
So I can't believe these too early this morning. Did they tell you who they are? Mario and Miyako. I can hear your voice. Anyway, these are
there was another one.
That Mario will get you later. These are my first cousins. And I am from we are from Achi Bay, Eleuthera. The pin is from Achi Bay, Eleuthera. And so forgive me, Mario, for not mentioning that in my bio. I will put that in as soon as I am done with this. I will make sure that I insert that in my bio. But the thing, this is it. When we think about domestic violence, especially this, oh my goodness, I often say that domestic violence in dealing with so many individuals who have been victimized as a result of this act, it does not discriminate against race, gender, your financial status, your social status. It does not discriminate. It's just an act that needs to be addressed directly and not swept underneath the rug. We are trying our best to see how we can honestly deal with this before it spirals out of control. On our Family Islands, we are going to, the commissioner mentioned last week that we are about to, not just the domestic violence support unit, but also the victim support unit that is going to be the center of our attention on every island. Because as you said, Mario, it is on our Family Islands as well. And it is no longer something that we sweep underneath the rug, is in our faces. And so we have to address these incidents face on which we are trying to do. But as I mentioned in my presentation, it is something that we have to do collectively as Bahamians, not just the police, because what happens in most matters as it pertains to conflict, we have persons who withdraw their complaints because the person who it is that they may have had these or conflict with are persons who are known to them. And so after they would have already calmed down, then they want to withdraw. And so that is one of the problems that we have as well, in terms of people withdrawing their complaint. And so we need to put a stop to that. We need to create an awareness, which we are trying to do. And let me put a plug in here. We are starting a series of on Cop Talk. It's called Loving Supposed to Hurt, where we are going to be addressing domestic violence and conflict resolution directly. We have a victim of a survivor of domestic violence who is going to be talking about her story and sharing it with us, with hopes that people would listen in and take heed to exactly what is going on in our country as it pertains to women. And we have men who have been killed and who are victims as well, domestic violence victims as well. And so we are trying our best to resolve and minimize these incidents, but we can't do it alone. I can't say that enough. We cannot do it alone. This is something that we have to do collectively as Bahamians. We can't just sit by anymore and say, oh, it's not happening in our home, so we're not going to deal with it. We don't care. It is in our faces. We now recognize some of the victims of domestic violence and a lack of conflict resolution.
Thank you, Inspector Pinder. Are there any other comments or questions for Inspector Pinder? If there aren't any, I'd like to invite Director Kemi to give our vote of thanks this morning.
Hi, good morning. So Inspector Pinder, you may not know this, but yesterday morning, as part of our community service outreach to kick off the month in terms of peace and conflict resolution, several of us went to present coffee and donuts to a few police stations on the island. And the reception we got there was resounding because we showed extreme appreciation to those officers, such as yourself, for your work in terms of keeping us citizens safe. And I would like to echo those same sentiments to you today, personally as a police officer. Thank you for all of the hard work that you do to keep us safe. And more importantly, also thank you for your very interesting and very informative presentation to us today. Trust me, your efforts go a very long way, and we are very grateful for all that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kemi, and thank you, Inspector Pinder, for your very informative presentation this morning. As we move along and we close out our program, I'd like to invite Director Tunisia to give us the raffle drawing this morning.
Hello, once again.
About to share my.
Can everyone see the wheel?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to shuffle. Here we go.
I don't see my name.
I'll give it up to. Can we do it again? Tunisia, and someone mentioned they didn't say their name.
Whose name is missing?
Talisa, not see my name.
Oh, I see. Okay, hold on.
Hold on, Father P already when you can't spin again.
Okay, we can leave it till next time.
No, nothing wrong with spinning it again.
No.
You might be lucky again for a payment.
We just doing charge to Lisa. And look at y'all don't want a conflict resolution this morning.
I was thinking the same thing. Oh.
All right, congratulations, Father P.
Congratulations, Father P. Don't let them rob the priest.
Oh, oh boy.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, the pressure.
Don't start
Oh,
that.
Lord.
All right.
Isn't Father P a mediator as well? So I'm sure he'll know how to resolve this conflict.
Hello. Rob us.
You can resolve that by bringing that to breakfast this morning.
See, same thing.
Can we have the four-way test by Rotarian Archelin, please?
Good morning to all. Fabulous presentation, Inspector Pinder. Who will lead us? And you are speaking to the fabulous group, People of Action Rotarians. And so on this terrific Thursday, I ask the People of Action to assist me with the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Or do.
Or do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And better friendships.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be
Beneficial to all concerned.
Good. And to our people of action, President Therese, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Thank you, Archeline.
Our official hype person, man. I like it.
Are you serious?
Hype lady, I like it.
and Tanya?
Tanya.
Tanya.
Right out.
As we close out this morning, we have a final toast by Rotarian Tamara.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. It's so hard to come behind Rotarian Archeline with all that energy. But please raise your glasses, tumblers, and mugs to Rotary around the world.
To Rotary around the world.
President, just before we close out, just probably recognition of the passing of Tanya's father.
You read my mind, PDG from Felix. We can we take a minute, a moment of silence for PP Tanya's brother, father for passing. Thank you very much.
I was about to say, given the length of that moment, I guess that's for PP Tanya, that's for Sidney Poitier, that's for Charles W. Sanders and everyone else again.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Let's take the highlight, our presence of President Kyle from Rotaract of Sunset. I know you've done so in the welcome, but I just want to highlight you once again for coming out and being a part of our meeting this morning. I think there are a few others who would have came in after our welcome this morning. Just want to highlight Mr. Howard Newbold. I think he's been a regular visiting of our club. I was PD Felix. Did you invite Mr. Howard?
I did, and he's telling me about all the Rotarians on this chat group who are former students. So I'm getting down low on all of you all.
All right. All right. Thank you all for coming out this morning. We do have our breakout groups after from our fellowship. And I also once again thank Inspector Pinder for a great job and presentation this morning. I look forward to seeing you guys next week as we have a closed meeting for our business meeting with the members of the club. Please see all our members out next week. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. Please also come out to, please contact Director Kemi in reference to the walkabout tomorrow for GHS. We need at least 2 Rotarians to come out and be a part of this program tomorrow.
I think we have 1 volunteer already, so I just need 1 more person.
Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day as we end the meeting. Also, like I said, we have our breakout groups this morning. So please stay behind if you want a fellowship.